breakfast, and I'm going to be down here and ready by the time that it's made for me. So then he would start to be impatient. Before we had this branch out here, he would hook onto the door frame and start to reach out, be going like this, trying to get somebody's attention to come and give him some food. And so then that's when we built the branch for him to actually be able to just grab onto and come hang out with us. But for the first 2 years that we had Flash, it was basically just John would go in there and sit and talk to him, just get him, used to his voice and getting him used to somebody being in there. Because before he just had somebody go in to give him his food and then come back out. And
No
so
interaction.
it was a very different thing. He thought that John was pretty weird for quite a while for being in there and just sitting in his enclosure. He's got green beans all over his chest now. Oh, maybe sweet potato. Maybe he's in a sweet potato and green bean mood this morning. I did mention that they have really poor eyesight, and that's because they have a condition that's called rod monochromacy, and that means that they only have rod cells in their eyes and no cone cells. We have both, and the cone cells allow us to see color, but since they lack them, they are colorblind.
Is he better at night?
Yes, yeah, their vision is kind of like night goggle vision. So looking through night goggles in the middle of the day, you really can't distinguish much. And already looking through night goggles at nighttime, you can really only see blobs and shapes, and that's basically what they see. So him looking at us, he can't distinguish me from either one of you guys, but he hears my voice, and so he understands that I'm over here because that's how he associates with me. It's through my voice and through my sense of smell. So since their eyesight is so poor, their sense of smell and their sense of hearing is really heightened. So it's a lot more sensitive for them. And that's why when we work with them, we want all of our movements and everything to be really nice and slow and controlled. Because movement for us, the rod cells that they have, that's what picks up motion. And they have a lot more rod cells than we do. So something simple like me just moving my hand in front of my face is just normal. For them, it's going to be a lot more heightened and can be a lot more scary. Especially for a sloth that has, in the wild, essentially every other animal could eat the sloth. They have to, that's still hardwired into them to be more cautious of movement like that. Because in the wild, anything moving towards a sloth at any rate of speed is probably bad news for the sloth. And they just want to get away from it. So their first line of defense is to just evade that threat and hope that whatever it is that looks like it's coming towards them does not continue to come towards them. So a lot of times what they'll do is go out to the very end of the branches where it gets a lot thinner and trying to hope that whatever it is that's moving towards them does not keep on. And if it is a jaguar, and that the jaguar gets out there to the very end of the branch too, the branch will probably eventually break. That's kind of best case scenario for the sloths though, because they're built to be able to withstand a fall from 100 feet in the air and be completely unharmed. So on the inside, they're kind of built like trucks. Believe it or not, looking at them, they look pretty spindly and pretty fragile. Especially since they don't have a whole lot of muscle on their body. It's basically just skin and bones, and very strong tendons. But they do actually are able to survive those falls because of their rib cage. It's a big factor into it because they actually have a total of 46 ribs. That's double what we have, and it's basically like a protective casing for them because they've got 2 sets of 23. So they've got a set on top and a set on bottom. And the bottom set protects basically all the way down to their hip bones.
So there's predators that will eat them.
Oh yeah, definitely. Basically anything in the rainforest could try to eat a sloth. Their main ones are jaguars and harpy eagles. The harpy eagles are the most successful animal that tries to eat a sloth because they have the element of surprise. And so they'll just come basically out of nowhere. The sloth can't see it coming. And the talons of an eagle work similarly to the claws of a sloth. Whereas for the sloth, you see him hanging there, and that's just effortless for him. It doesn't take any energy for them to hold on to that. And for an eagle to clamp down onto something, it's like a locking mechanism, and they're not letting go of that until they want to. And so they're just going to grab onto a leg or two of the sloth and rip right off the branch, and they're not going to be able to do much about it. But the jaguars, they stand a little bit of chance against because you have to keep in mind that a sloth stays on the underside of the branch, and the jaguar is going to be on the top side. And so if the sloth does get out to the very end of the branch and it's not breaking and the jaguar is above them, basically all they're going to do, the only choice they're going to have left is to just let go. It's fine. He's a messy eater sometimes. I'm surprised he's eating the squash there. Sometimes he doesn't like the squash. He's our picky eater.
Is this the only one you have?
No, we have 3 others. So we have Zoe, she's the second sloth that we got, and then came Dash, and then Chloe. And so Zoe, Dash, and Chloe are all three ambassador sloths, which means that they're actually comfortable with being held. So they were conditioned from a very young age to enjoy being around people, whereas that's not a natural behavior for sloths. So a lot of time and work and effort and energy went into them to get them to the point where they're comfortable. Flash has never been held, and so he will never be held unless he's the one to come on to us. I think it's because the back of the case is over top, so yeah.
Right here, he feels all rough and bumpy. You pet him here, he feels like sandpaper. You pet him here, he feels like leather or a wallet or something like that. All right.
So you like, he's visiting us today, those the other ones, you know, should change them out.
Yeah, so we have 5 different encounters on the farm. So we have the sloth encounter, which is just a feeding and petting encounter with Flash, which is what he's comfortable with, so that's what we respect. And then with Zoe, Dash, and Chloe, all 3 of those are holding encounters.
Is that part of our thing today, or?
No, we've just got
Yeah,
this.
you guys have just looked for the sloth encounter, which is just with
Just this
Flash. Yeah.
Okay.
If you guys were interested in holding a baby sloth today, you could upgrade it to the VIP. I think it's $99 a person for extra 30 minutes to be able to hold one of them. And that would probably be with Dash. Dash is a year-old. His birthday is August 5th.
Which, if it's available, I'd let you do that because that's one of your, that's one that you wanted to do.
Yeah, I don't know why I like them so much.
You definitely do that if you want to.
They almost seem like well, they're harmless, of course, but how they protect themselves, I don't understand.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense for the sloths to be alive whatsoever because they essentially have no defense mechanism besides hoping that the branch breaks if they get out there. But they are still alive and they're not endangered yet, but their habitat definitely is. So that's kind of the idea behind having sloths born and raised in captivity is so that even though, you know, since the rainforest population and everything is slowly shrinking, that's something that we always want to be sure that we preserve. And, you know, if it does end up being that the rainforest goes kaput and there's not enough resources left for the sloths to be able to live, we'll still have a population of 2-toed sloths, but the 3-toed sloths will most likely be able to, they'll go extinct because the 3-toed sloths are extremely difficult to keep in captivity because their diets are extremely sensitive. They can really only eat the leaves of the Cercopia trees, and those only grow in South America, not North America. That's why you really don't see a whole lot of 3-toed sloths in captivity. But all 4 of our sloths that we have here have been born and raised in captivity. And that's the only way that you're going to get a sloth that is comfortable like this with being around people. If you try to have an interaction like this with a wild sloth, you know, with 3 of our sloths are holding sloths, and they'll sit in your lap and they'll cuddle you, and that's the interaction that they want. They'll actively seek it out. With Zoe, if I walk into her enclosure and I don't immediately go to pet her, talk to her, pick her up, she's climbing to me, trying to get my attention so that I'll hold her because that's what she genuinely enjoys. But if you try to have an interaction like that with a wild sloth, it would essentially be the difference between holding a house cat and a feral cat. A lot of people think about sloths being slow, gentle, docile animals, and they are as long as they're left alone in the wild. But as soon as you try to get one down out of the tree and hold it, it is going to be using everything in its power to get away from you. They can use short bursts of energy to try to evade things that are scaring them, or if some kind of event like that were to happen. And a lot of people will say, well, I had a sloth encounter down in Costa Rica or Honduras. Honduras is a really popular place where a lot of people will have encounters. And the sloth was just kind of sitting there like it wasn't doing much. And that's because, unfortunately, a lot of times those sloths will be used over and over and over and over and over again, back to back to back to back with no breaks in between, that they use up all of their energy supply and they're just not able to fight back anymore. And that's what happens a lot of times to those, because if you have an encounter down there with a sloth, that sloth is a wild sloth. It has been most likely taken from the rainforest, even if they call themselves a sanctuary. There's also a really popular baby sanctuary down there that is really popular on social media. But how do you have, 100, 200 babies that have been all abandoned or all, the mothers have perished and the babies are just left by themselves? So people, down there I have a hard time. I tend to just see the good in people, and I don't always try to picture the bad in people. And not all people are out looking for, the safety and security of the animals. They're just in it for the money. And that's unfortunately how a lot of people have their way of life down there. It's just how their dad did it. It's how their grandfathers did it, so that's how they're doing it. They're also really keen on the the schedule of cruise ships coming to be boarded. If they know a cruise ship is coming, they'll go out a couple days beforehand and they're on the hunt for a young sloth, even if it's a baby, off of the mother's back. And they'll bring it, they'll clean it off, they'll strip it from all that moss and algae that it has growing on its back, and then set it up in a little roadside petting zoo where people are getting off that cruise ship and they're like, oh my gosh, a sloth, I want to hold a sloth. They're like, $20, you can hold a sloth. And a lot of people will do that. They don't put much thought behind it because, like myself, I tend to just see the good in people. And that's how they present it. They present it like it's been my pet, or the mother, you know, my mother didn't make it, so I've rescued it, or, you know, things like that.
Now, do you bathe them?
No, so sloths are very clean animals. They don't have any natural scent glands, musk glands, or oil glands, and so they smell essentially like the rest of their environment. Wild sloths will have a lot of that moss and algae on their back, and they'll grow that over time from getting rained on multiple times over and over again. Each individual hair of a sloth has tiny little micro cracks throughout it, and when the rainwater gathers there, that's what will form it over time. And they'll have kind of a green covering on their back, and that helps them to not only camouflage into the canopy of the rainforest, but it's also a food source for a very specific type of moth that lives in the fur of the sloth. So all throughout the fur and on the back of the sloth will be a very specific moth that can't fly. And that moth needs somewhere to be able to repopulate. It's a whole symbiotic relationship that the sloths have with the moths. And the moths benefit too. And that's the reason why the sloth will actually have to go all the way down to the floor once a week to go to the bathroom. So when they do that, the sloths will go down, wiggle their little booties back and forth to start going to the bathroom. That signals those moths to crawl down off of them and lay their eggs in the dung pile. And then next week, when the sloth gets the urge to go to the bathroom again, they go back to that same exact pile. Even in captivity, even though you see he doesn't have any moths on him, those are only for the wild sloths, it is still ingrained into his brain. That is what he's supposed to do. Because if he was in the wild and he didn't do that, if he didn't use the same tree, the same side of the tree every single time, the sloths would not be able to survive. Because those moths play a really important role for the wild sloths in how they digest their food. They'll produce a bacteria in their waste, and that sloth will use the bacteria to be able to digest it. So they don't have enzymes like we do. That's how we digest our food. They use a bacterial process, and they're not born with a bacteria. They need to get it from somewhere. So they'll get just a little bit from their mothers. When they're around 3 days old is when the baby starts to be interested in what mom's doing. They'll climb onto her chest, and while she's eating, start to kind of lick her in the corners of her mouth and eat some of the food out of her mouth. And the bacteria she has in her gut is also in her saliva. So a baby will lick just a little bit of that up, and they'll get just a little bit of mom's bacteria. And then the moths that are on mom's back will then transfer over and crawl onto the baby, and then the baby will start to kickstart that system. And they really need those moths in the wild because that bacteria is sensitive to temperature changes. And if the temperature drops, the bacteria is wiped out. If they don't have those moths on their back, then they can't digest their food. We don't need them in captivity because we always keep them in a stable environment. The temperature never drops for them. It's always at least 78, 79 degrees in here. And that's what temperature that their bacteria that they got from their mothers thrive at the best. And so as long as we keep them warm, we never have to worry about that bacteria deteriorating. But if for whatever reason one of the doors were left cracked overnight and the temperature dropped in their enclosure, that would be absolutely detrimental for the sloth, and they might not even be able to recover from something like that. Sloths are extremely sensitive animals, not only with their temperature and humidity requirements, but also their dietary requirements. So everything has to be met. Everything has to be ate, the certain percentage of everything every single day. And that's why we always try to start out with all of the other veggies as well, so that he doesn't just eat green beans, because he absolutely loves them. Another thing that he loves is bananas. He would eat an entire banana in one sitting by himself if we let him, but the fruit category of their diet is only like 3%, so he can't have very much at all. We give him a few little slivers to kind of get him to come down as a little treat sometimes. As he's coming through the doorway, we'll give him a few little bites. Just as positive reinforcement. Sloths do not feed off of negative reinforcement like dogs do. Dogs are people pleasers. They just want you to be happy, and if they know that you're upset with them, they're upset too. They know they've done a poor job. But sloths are not the same way, so you have to understand the way that their brain works to be able to condition them like our other 3 sloths are. What do you think, bud? You ate most of everything that you needed from the bowl. We're gonna see if we can get a little bit of rice out of the fridge here. Be quiet.
Are you gonna go to sleep now?
As soon as he starts to smell this rice, he'll be back awake.
Oh, he loves
He
rice.
loves this rice mixture. So this is a mixture of brown rice, shaved up sweet potatoes, and a really high quality dog food that's been soaked in water and then mixed into it. And that's what we keep our babies on for about the first 2 years of their lives. And then we switch them over to start eating more veggies like that, the stick veggies, more leaves, and a high fiber biscuit, which transition them over onto that too. So Flash doesn't necessarily need this mixture, but he absolutely loves it. And sometimes if he doesn't finish the rest of his breakfast, then he gets just a little bit of this. It just has more protein in it, and extra protein they just end up peeing out. So it's not harmful at all. That was a nice one, bud. Come this way. It's really cool to watch how he eats his rice too, because once he gets over here, he will fully extend all the way down just by hanging by his 2 back feet. Try to get him over here just a little bit more into the light so your pictures turn out a little better. Come on, bud. But the way that their mouths are set up, he'll extend down to where he'll be able to eat this out of the bowl. Come on, bud. And if you wanted to feed him this, you just hold the bowl just like this, and you can get all the way real up close to him like
Go
that.
ahead,
Take
honey.
pictures. Those pictures turn out really well. You can see as he's opening his mouth, those 4 really sharp canines on the sides of their mouths can be kind of misleading because they're in the very front, they're cute little faces, then you don't see any teeth on the very front, but on the sides are those 4 really sharp canines. And back behind those, all of their molars are actually pointed. They're not flat like ours are. So if you were to stumble across the skull of a sloth in the wild and not know what animal it came from, you would definitely be thinking that animal is top of the food chain, some kind of animal that's eaten and tearing into all the other animals in the rainforest because of how impressively sharp those teeth are and how many they have. When in reality, to see the actuality of the animal is pretty ironic, and I think that the Lord definitely had a sense of humor when he was making all the animals that he did. To make it look like this animal is going to be very ferocious, because you can see how absolutely long those front arms are. The front arms are about twice as long as the back legs, and just as long, if not longer, than the rest of their body. And so if you were to even just see the skeleton of the sloth and see how many ribs they've got, I mean, you would be thinking this animal is impressive. That it's got, and I mean, sloths are impressive in and of themselves. Just you see, he's just hanging by his 2 back claws right now, and not using any energy to do that. But you'd think that they were probably a lot quicker than they actually are, just by looking at their skeletons. Maybe brachiating, similar to a monkey, you know, swinging through the branches, using those claws to swipe things out of the branches as they go by them. When in reality, to see how they are is pretty funny to me. But
The claws, do they ever have to be clipped?
not when they get older. They continuously grow throughout their lives, but as they get older and they climb and everything, they'll just dull down over time. So you can see how long his are. If you guys decide to do the VIP portion where you hold one for 30 minutes, you'll get to see how much shorter theirs are, because even Zoe, she's almost 2 years old. She'll be 2 in December, and hers are just a fraction of his size. So hers will still grow a lot more. As they get older, they'll start to slow down.
Go ahead, honey.
But when they're younger, we file them just a little bit because they don't climb as much and they're a little bit pointier. And our younger sloths are the ones that we hold, and so wrapping around your waist, sometimes they'll pinch you just a little bit. And so we file those down just a little to keep them a little bit more dull. But as they get older, they take care of it themselves as they
It almost
climb.
look like a bat. In the face.
Oh, in the face?
They get that a lot, they do. And Dash especially, because Dash, our baby, he's a year old, is a lot darker. The darkest spot of Flash's head there is about what he is, probably a little bit darker, about what Dash is all over. When they're younger, when they're first born, they're all solid. They're all a solid dark color, and then they lighten up over time. But Dash in general, he's just a lot darker than all of our other sloths are.
Is that because he's from a different area, or?
Not necessarily different area. They're all born and raised. Zoe, Dash, and Chloe are all from the same breeder, but their bloodlines are completely different. So he has several sloths, and he tracks his sloths all the way back from the original sloths that he got from a failed rehabilitation attempt. So he's actually a veterinarian, and what he was trying to do was rehabilitate some sloths that had been injured, and the ones that their injuries were significant enough that they had to live in captivity are eventually what started his breeding program. And so he tracks his sloths' bloodlines all the way back to those, and knows that they're all different and are not crossed whatsoever. So that could play a little bit of a role into it, and I think that it definitely does their personalities, because all 4 of our sloths have very different personalities, and it's really cool to see the differences between them. Even just with Zoe and Dash, Chloe, she's just 3 months old, and so we're still learning her personality, and we've only had her for about 2 weeks. But Dash and Zoe both, they're just polar opposites with their personalities, and it's really funny because they were raised the exact same way by the exact same guy, probably held for very similar amounts of time and ways that they were held and everything. But still, the personalities and little quirks that they have developed themselves is really funny.
And they only go to the bathroom once a week.
Once a week, yep.
That'd be nice.
About every 7 to 10 days. Well, you think that until it would be the day before you go to the bathroom and you have gained a substantial amount. And when they go to the bathroom, they lose about 1/3 of their entire body weight. So I don't know about you, but I don't think I'd want to get that absolutely bloated right before I go to the bathroom and then drop down that much. But I'll tell you one thing, their attitudes definitely, the day before that they go, that's Dash. The day before that they go to the bathroom, they are just bloated, and you can tell they're just uncomfortable, and like they want to eat, but they don't want that piece. And you offer them another piece, and they're like, I guess I'll take this piece. You can just tell they're just uncomfortable. And then the next day, right after they've gone to the bathroom, they are ravishly hungry, and they can't get enough to eat in their mouths. And the whole time they're just trying to find something to eat. But they're much more content after a day or two after they've gone to the bathroom. They're just like, okay, I could stay like this for a while. But they don't. They eat about 10% of their body weight every day. It starts to add up pretty quickly. What he likes to do is acrobats while he's down there. A lot of times he'll let go with 2 legs and scratch himself and readjust. He loves it when those blinds are open too. He likes to look outside. And you can hear that noise as he opens and closes his mouth like that. That little squeaking sound is actually his teeth rubbing together. So it's a self-sharpening system, and every time they close their mouths, they fit together where they'll rub to keep each other sharp every time. And even their molars are like that too. So their top molars are about like this, and then their bottom molar fits just perfectly in between it, so that every time that they do that, it sharpens one another. What do you think, Bud?
Don't touch.
I think Flash is ticklish sometimes.
So he likes this corner best, doesn't he?
Yeah, that's his resting corner. There for a while, he was very strict on that side of the branch was his resting side, and whatever you offered him to eat over there, he didn't want. And then if he finally wanted whatever you were offering him, he would come all the way to this end to take it from you. He had to be over here to be able to eat. And he established that himself. I mean, I guess that it was part of the routine that as soon as he would come down and his door would be closed, we would feed him over on this side. And so that just became what was normal to him, and when it just fell off anytime we try to feed him down there. But he's broken that habit since, and we'll eat things while he's down there.
He liked that rice.
Yeah. And the rice is a definite. We try to feed him as much as we can out of that bowl. And then once he's done with that, that's when we break out the rice, because if we bring out the rice before, he will not even eat green beans. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nope.
What happened with Dad asleep?
Usually his tongue is sticking out when he's asleep. Either his tongue is sticking out or he's got a corner of the towel in his mouth sucking on it. Which that's specific to Dash. Neither, Chloe and Zoe, neither one have done that. And Dash will also, he loves to, the reason why there's a towel on the top of the basket there, because he likes to cover himself up with it, but wrap himself into a little burrito. And in the mornings, when I wake him up, he's so wrapped up that I have to turn him over 2 or 3 times before I get him unwrapped. That's how he feels most comfortable. When we first went to the airport to pick Dash up, the breeder told us, now when you get to the airport and you pick up the enclosure, don't think that I just forgot to pack your sloth. You have to look underneath the blanket because he likes to cover himself up. Zoe nor Chloe did that. What do you think, Flash?
That one don't get out and wander around.
He has his enclosure in the daytime. Like I said, since their eyesight is so poor, he really chooses just to stay in that basket. Even if we put the basket into his enclosure and he's got branches right above him that he can grab onto, he's more content in the basket. In that basket there on somebody's lap is where he prefers to be. None of our sloths do any more than 2 hours a day total of encounters, and that's not ever back to back. The longest that they can encounter for at a time is an hour. So we do 30-minute increments with the holding encounters and with Flash as well. So they can have 2 30-minutes booked back to back. But then they have the whole afternoon to have a break before they have their next encounter. Now they would hold on to somebody gladly for a lot longer than we do, but they need time to be able to decompress and do their own thing and sleep and just be a sloth. Because not everybody, before we hand the sloth over, we say all of our pets have to be really nice and slow and gentle and controlled, and you have to think like a sloth and move like a sloth. But some people get really excited to be holding a sloth for the first time, and they'll forget and they start petting a little bit quicker or doing the scritches, and they really don't like scritches like that. They just like an open hand, and that kind of starts to get a lot for them. And so we do give them breaks in between. It's just a staring contest, I guess.
Flash, you're really fast.
Is that as big as they get?
Yeah. They can get to be a little bit more. Flash is about 15, 16 pounds, but the two-toed sloths can get to be up to 20 at their max. But Zoe, she's basically full-grown too. They're considered to be full-grown at 2 years old, but she's been plateaued off her weight for the past several months. And it's an average, we weigh them right after they go to the bathroom every time. But on average, they're about 15 pounds, because they can get to be up to like 18, 19 pounds before they go to the bathroom, and then drop all the way back down. But Zoe's about 15 too. But Zoe and Flash are both shaped very differently. Flash is a lot more cylinder and looks like he's a lot bigger because his hair is a little bit longer than Zoe's is. And Zoe's a lot more like, she's kind of shaped like a little pear. She's very short and compact. They came from totally different breeding programs, and so genetically they're very, very different, and they had very different nutritional backgrounds as well. So Flash was already 3 by the time we got him, and we're not exactly sure what his diet was up until that point. We know about the last year of what his diet was. When he was a baby, when they're first growing and everything, that's the most important phase for them to be able to establish how big they're going to be in the future. But we know exactly what Zoe has had since she's been born. We've had a really good relationship with her breeder, and anytime we have any questions or concerns about anything, he's always on speed dial.
Do they sleep with their eyes closed?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And scientists used to think that they slept a lot longer than they actually do, because a really comfortable resting position for a sloth is going to be up really close to the branch with their arms kind of bent up, with their head in between their front legs. And so in that position, you would think that they were sleeping, and if you didn't actually, connect probes to them or see if their eyes were open or not, you just have the assumption that they were sleeping. And so that's what research had shown for the first several years. But more recent research shows that they only really sleep about 15 hours a day, which some house cats can sleep that much. And just a lot of the other times they'll choose to just be resting in one spot.
He has an itch.
Yeah. And sometimes if he's got an itch down lower that he's got to scratch with his arm, he'll have that back leg extended all the way out. You can see him kind of like shifting back and forth. Hey, bud. What do you think, buddy?
He's a smelling.
So it's been, the first half, the sloth encounter part is up. If you guys wanted to do the VIP portion where you actually hold for a little bit, we can do that. Like I said, it's $99 a person. And if you're just wanting to do one, that'll be the only one that is able to be in with the sloth. I'll have to take all the pictures and everything, but it's up to you guys for what you want to do.
That's fine. I'll have to go get my purse so I can pay for it.
Okay.
Oh, we doing that?
Do you want to do that? Don't you want to hold one? Do you want to hold one?
How long you hold it for?
30 minutes.
Is it like that one there?
Mm-hmm.
Are you showing off?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm? Are
He
you showing
says
off?
the store is supposed to open now. And you'd be surprised, they have a good little internal clock system. And they know right when their encounter time is up and they're supposed to go back in.
That is it. Yep. It's been about 30 minutes.
Yeah. Well, if you want to do that, I'll go and get my purse so I can pay for that.
Okay.
And
I think, I don't know if we've still got kids up at the pavilion. We've got a field trip going on today, and so there's
Yeah,
a
we
lot
seen that.
more kids around than there usually are. But we can take care of the payment afterwards
Well,
if you wanted to
I was
wait in
going to
your
say,
car.
do you want me to pay for it? Do I need to pay for it?
here?
Pay for it through the here or up there at the?
You can do it at the shop. I don't know if anybody's gonna be in the
There's
shop.
nobody
right
up
now.
there?
Yeah, because we're doing the field trip. But afterwards, when we finish up, with our 30 minutes with Dash, I'll grab either John or Donna, and they can do the payment from their phone like that.
That'll be fine. You want me to just go on out? to
Yeah, you can either wait wherever you're most comfortable. If you want to wait in your car, or if you want to wait under the pavilion. I'm not sure if there's going to be more kids up there or not. But when we finish up, we'll just come find you.
We can walk around, can't we?
You are going to go. You're going to do this. I'm going to go out.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay. That's what I'll. Okay.
We'll head out here. If you don't care to sanitize for me before you head back
I will be
up.
glad to.
Yeah. Right there. And then the door will be slide up. Alright. Hey, bud.
Sorry, I'm on.
No, you're fine.
I'm on my walk. You ain't got a bathroom real quick?
Yeah.
Here?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Oh.
There's no restroom up there. So you can
Oh, wait, it's like-
one use the restroom just right there. The plastic one that the lid is off of.
Don't go anywhere, guys. We're about to have the VIP portion of our sloth encounter. And that'll be another 30 minutes. We'll be hanging out still with Flash. Flash will be out here. And then we're going to hold Dash, which is our baby sloth. Just turned a year old. August 5th is his birthday. And so we're going to do the VIP portion with him. That gentleman's going to be holding him for a little bit longer. If you guys want to stick around, be able to see that part of it. Getting a little bit of food ready here, because I think Dash is going to be ready for his breakfast. He's going to do the VIP portion.
Oh, cool.
So they're going to upgrade to that.
Are they doing it right now?
Yeah, so I was just telling everybody that's on the live that to stick around, because
Awesome. Well, you got it
just a
then.
little bit longer.
Thanks, Mikhail.
Yeah. Guys, we're here at Coe Riverside Farm. We're located in Benton, Tennessee. It's about an hour north of Chattanooga, south of Knoxville. We've got over 150 different animals. We're doing a sloth encounter this morning. So we're about to hold Dash here for just a little bit. Flash is the guy right here. And he's going to be hanging out with us. He just finished up his breakfast. Good. Alright.
I gotta take this shirt off. I'm about to die.
I know, it gets warm in here. We've got to have, it's always 78, 79 degrees, which is nicer in the winter, but not so nice when it's still warm outside. Hey, Dash.
And I did the sanitizing hand thing again.
Yeah.
What do I do? Sit in a chair?
Yeah, usually the blue chair out there is a little bit easier to kind of relax back into. They feel more comfortable when they're kind of sitting back like that. What? You come see me?
Why did they put this place in Benton?
That's a good question. You got your arm stuck there, bud. So when they moved here, John and Donna moved here back in 2019. And when they first moved here, it was just the main house, the first house that you come to when you first come in, and the horse barn and the riverside cabin. And they started doing Airbnb with the cabin. And then slowly they started out with horses, and people started requesting to do like horseback rides. Then as they got more animals, the requests just became more and more. And then they slowly,
You
had
surely
to go
got
with it.
federal regulations. And
Oh
stuff
yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
we have the same license and registrations as a zoo does. We just don't label ourselves as a zoo, because at a zoo you're not going to be able to have encounters like this where it's one-on-one experiences with the animals. It's just going to be looking at the animal, up in the top of the enclosure. Maybe it's a sloth, maybe it's a wasp nest, who really knows. But this is Dash.
Dash.
So Dash did just turn a year old, and like I was mentioning earlier, their eyesight is extremely poor, but especially when they're babies, they're a lot more reactive to movement. So all of our movements when we're petting him have to be really slow. We just pet down the middle of the back, and I know it's really tempting to do the scritches like that because a dog or a cat might really like it, but it's kind of alarming to them. So we
Their
try to
first
just
kind of feels like my German Shepherd.
Yeah. Oh yeah, kind of it does.
Kind of rough,
They definitely don't shed like a German Shepherd does,
I
though.
know.
The sloths don't have any natural shed like that. We use really slow movements, and their legs are really sensitive too, and a lot of people want to touch them because they look really cool, but they're kind of, they're more sensitive to their legs.
You don't have like an age limit on people that come in here.
Oh, yeah.
Like these kids, you can't have them in here.
No, and then we have farm tours where they see all of the rest of the animals, but the sloths are excluded from that because they're very easily stressed animals, and we have to be always, paying attention to their body language and everything, and making sure that nobody is, getting too stressed over anything. Because Dash loves this type of interaction. But, with people that start to pet a lot quicker or do the scritches and everything, it can start to add up and start to be a little bit overwhelming. So he's going to wrap his legs around you just like this. He's kind of catty-wampered right now, but he'll be sitting more upright on you. And then you'll just support one hand under his booty like this, and the other one you can use to rest on his back.
Right. Well, this is my bucket list.
Yeah. Just put one hand under there to be able to support him. And then this is his breakfast here.
He's like, where'd you go?
Here, bud. Is that what you're interested in? This is just more of that rice that we were feeding Flash a little bit ago. Not too hungry? Alright. But you can see how much darker Dash is compared to Flash.
They don't bite, do they?
They definitely can. You saw the teeth there. That's why I said that all of our movements have to be really slow with them. And you saw how I was holding the food bowl off to the side here. Their eyesight is really poor, and so sometimes when we move our arms, when they're really young like this, like I said, they're really sensitive to movement. If I move my arm over by the side, they look over, they're like, oh, food. They go to open their mouth. We always just got to slowly move
That's
their
why I
arm
was
away.
worried,
Yeah.
because when you took that away, it went down to my arm. I was
Yeah.
like,
And sometimes they'll just sniff, and sometimes they'll lick a little bit. And somebody the other day said, we call it, when our cats lick us, we call that basting, because they'll lick, and then chomp. And then sometimes, most of the time if they start just licking like that, they're just licking either your sweat off of you, or sometimes Zoe likes to lick up on people's chins or their necks, especially if you put moisturizer on you.
Yeah, I
but
didn't
then-
put anything
yeah.
on today. Anne's like, don't put
Yeah.
nothing on. I'm a big cologne guy,
Yeah.
so.
And they're really sensitive to things like that because their sniffer works so sensitively.
I don't have to continue petting, right? Okay.
No. Just as long as you've got the one hand underneath him just to be able to support him so he doesn't feel like he's sliding down. And he can hold himself up, sometimes when I'm in here and he's being really adamant about wanting to be held, when he's reaching out and I can't get anything else done because he's trying to grab onto me, I'll hold him while I'm doing other things. And he can hold on to me without me supporting underneath him, but it really starts to pinch down around your sides because he has to hold himself
Yeah.
up by that. And his little claws are a little bit pointy on the ends, like I was saying earlier, how we kind of will shave them down, either use a little Dremel or a nail file. Which he's not too keen on, so it's a very slow process. We just do about 1 claw a day.
Well, what kind of dog food is it? High quality dog food?
I think it's Purina Pro Plan.
Because we're real picky about what we feed our dogs. We got a border collie lab mix. And all he wants to do is stay in our pool. And then a German Shepherd we adopted.
Yeah. What do you guys feed them?
Rachel Ray.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like 14 pounds for like 35 pounds. And they eat the freaking hell out of it.
Yeah.
I thought about going to the soft food for him,
Yeah.
because our shepherd always has skin allergies.
Mm.
We've had a vet there, the home vet.
Mhm.
You know any of the home vets?
Wait.
They
right.
travel to your
Oh
house.
yeah. Who's he used?
Well, it used to be Dr. Moss.
Oh,
he
yeah.
he was a neighbor of mine.
Yeah. Oh,
And then
okay.
he transferred his practice over to some female.
Yeah.
So he just works at the McLean County spade and neuter clinic
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
And we put her on pills and it worked just great. And
Mhm.
like a week later, she's back at it again.
Hmm.
So we got online and researched for her condition. They said
Yeah.
to wash her in oatmeal and vinegar.
Mm.
So we got the tub ready last night. She hopped right in that bad boy and gave her a bath, and she didn't itch at all last night.
Yeah. And sometimes it can be, there are food allergies that dogs can have
Yeah.
too, like to chicken or to beef or,
I hate changing dog foods because we read the labels and it's got crap in it.
yeah,
That's why I thought about going to the soft food, but my gosh, it's expensive.
yeah. Yeah, you definitely have to talk to your vet about it too, because, like the grain-free diet is really popular
Mhm.
because for whatever reason on commercials and everything, oh, it's grain-free, you don't want to have grain in your dog food. It's like,
Well, they got,
what's
you read
what's
it's
grain?
like
What is
chicken
it?
meal, it's
Yeah.
like, what the hell's
Yeah.
chicken meal?
Yeah.
But this dog food don't have anything like that. It's got carrots and peas, and,
Mm.
but she eats the kibble and spits the peas and carrots out all over the floor. She won't eat them.
Oh my goodness. That sounds about like my Cocker Spaniel. She's really picky.
I like Cocker Spaniels. I used to have a party Cocker.
Mm.
He was my buddy.
Yeah.
I always wanted to do this for years.
I'm
When
glad
my
you guys
back
got
end
to
just-
come and it not be so far away, because some people drive and fly for hours and hours.
Really?
Yes, we've had all 50 states have come, and I don't know exactly how many different countries. I have to ask John for that one. We've had people fly in from Australia. We've had the UK come, and this is like specifically to come and see sloths, not just, they're
Then they
in
got
the
them there,
area.
don't they? But they don't have places
No.
like that. Like
In
this there.
Australia, there's a lot more, the people that came from Australia said that there's a lot more regulations and rules on exotic pets in general. I mean, sugar gliders are considered to be exotic, so you can't even own something like that in some areas. But
How'd you guys do during COVID?
it was slow. I mean, in COVID, this place has really only taken off with how many encounters that we do now within the past year and a half. A year and a half ago, there were 3 employees, 2 of which being the owners, John and Donna. And so now we have 21, and that's not including John and Donna. And so it has definitely expanded very quickly, and a lot of that has been thanks to Kevin, the guy that came in a few times with the longer hair. He does all of our social media and everything, and we do a lot of live streams, so that we just
Yeah,
get
I've seen the live streams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're big on education too. All of our encounters are not just, you just get to spend time with the animal.
Yeah, I could hear them when they're talking about the
Yeah,
camel.
yeah. And especially with the sloths too, because they're a very widely misunderstood animal. Before I knew anything about a sloth, I had watched a video of a sloth trying to pass a roadway.
I had to.
Yeah, and this guy got out and picked it up and
up.
moved it over to the other side of the road. And on that sloth was it was green from all that moss and algae that was growing on its back. And it's got all these bugs and moths and stuff crawling all throughout its fur. And I'm thinking, that sloth is not doing very well. It needs to be taken to some kind of rehab facility, because why does it have all that growing on it? Why are there bugs growing all over it? Something is not right with this animal. But if I were to do that, if somebody took a sloth that was in that type of a condition and bathed it like I was thinking, and gave it, got rid of all those bugs and everything, that would be the end of the sloth. It would be essentially 2.5 weeks before that sloth would starve. Even with a full belly of food, they just wouldn't be able to digest any of it, because they use those moths for that. If their temperature dropped and the bacteria that they have in their gut wipes out, they need those moths on their back to repopulate all of that in their gut there.
So, how did you learn all this stuff? Did you go to
A
school?
lot of research. Well, I have a bachelor's degree in animal science, not specifically with sloths, but my end goal is to become a veterinarian, and so I had applied to vet school last year right after I finished undergrad, and didn't get accepted my first time, which, vet school is really competitive, even more so than medical school, and so there's way more applicants into veterinary school than there is med school, but way fewer schools to get into. So they look at a lot more things, not just your academics, but they want you to be like well-rounded in the community and have like community service hours and be active in sports and extracurricular stuff. And so I've just spent the last year, filling in the gaps for my application last time, and one was exotic animals. And so I knew about this place because the large animal vet that I rode with did all of that work for down here. So I've watched this place grow within the past 3 years, just kind of periodically every few months coming down and seeing how they've expanded. So it's been really cool to be a part of, watching how much they've done and where what they came from and then where they're at now.
Are you from here?
Madisonville.
Madisonville?
Yeah. But it's worked out really well though. Of course, obviously when I was declined from vet school the first time, I was extremely bummed. And I knew that was a possibility. A lot of people have to apply multiple times, but when I got that letter, I was very upset. But it's worked out really well though, because if I had got accepted and I started vet school, I wouldn't have started working here and I wouldn't have met my fiance. So it's worked out well.
Well, good.
I just submitted my second application a week ago to vet school. And this time I applied to just UT and Auburn. And I should.
Not to be young again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to college and I don't even do anything
Yeah.
past pertaining to what I went to school
And
for.
see, that was always my biggest fear. Because it just, to me, that just, I know it sucks for anybody, but in my mind, I'm just like, I could not imagine. I hate school so much. And I know that vet school is going to get a lot better because it's going to be actually what I want to learn about, but I could not imagine forcing myself to go through all of that pain and suffering and then not gaining anything from it.
Yeah.
And so when I completed my 4-year degree in animal science, there's not a whole lot you can do with an animal science degree, just in animal science. You can be a farm manager, but you can be a farm manager without having, you can see all those teeth too.
Yep.
Yeah.
You can't work at a zoo?
Zoos are really touchy because people that work in zoos have been doing it for years and years and years and years and years and years. And when they get to the point where they're about to retire, they have had somebody that has been, working with them really closely, an apprentice, that kind of takes over their position. And I didn't really have any connections like that with anybody. I tried to make a few with field trips that we would do from UT, going to the zoo in Knoxville and everything, but it never really worked out too well. And I haven't done any apprenticeship programs or anything through them. That's always been something that I was interested in, but didn't really work out that way. God's got a plan for everything, because
Oh yeah, God push you where He wants you.
yeah, I never imagined that I would be a sloth keeper. But he says, "Okay, I've got my belly full, and now it's nap time."
Now it's nap time. And I'm glad you're comfortable.
But Dash is actually lightened up in color quite a bit from what he was when we first got him.
Mhm.
So the darkest spot that he is on the very top of his head is what color he was all over his body, just all solid like that when we first got him, and he's lightened up, even just within the past 4 months, lightened up quite a bit. Now he's kind of got that salt and pepper look going on down the middle of his back. And as he gets older, he'll develop more into Flash's color, where in the middle of his back it's just more like a dirty blonde, sandy color like that. And he'll eventually get to that point too. Hey, bud.
So you, after a visit with him, you usually put him back in there?
Yep, we just open up his door and he'll go back in. And you'll be able to see that too, because when we finish up with Dash here, I'll open up that door and you can see how he moves back up.
How old's this one?
Just turned a year old.
Just a year. Oh,
Yeah.
You're just a baby.
His birthday's August 5th.
I have an August birthday too.
Really?
You're a Leo. How many times you do this a day?
So if Dash were to be fully booked for his encounter, he could have, so you'll have 30 minutes with it. We don't have any other sloth encounters the rest of the day, which is very unusual. Typically the sloths are like the highlight of the place. And so if Dash were to be fully booked, he'd have 30 minutes now, and then he would usually have like 30 minutes right after this one. And that's it for his morning, and he would not have another encounter until 4 o'clock this afternoon. And then you could have one from 4 to 4:30, and then 4:30 to 5, and then that's it. So he'd just have 2 hours total. If Flash were to be fully booked, he would have, this is his fully booked schedule. He had 30 minutes with him, one-on-one this morning, and then now he's gonna be out for another 30 minutes, and then we open up his enclosure and he goes back in. And sometimes he decides to hang out with us longer, like we'll open up his door, but if we're in here, you know, moving and talking and doing different things, sometimes he'll hang out a little bit longer and then just goes back up when he decides to. And we've never held Flash, and so a lot of people are surprised when I say that he does just hook onto the door frame and then he hooks back onto the other side and he'll go back up himself. They're like, how is he gonna do that without any
They
help?
drink water, right?
Not really. We have water dishes in their enclosures. Flash doesn't ever really even touch his water. His will just slowly evaporate down every day. Zoe plays in hers a little bit. We have cameras in their enclosures, and a lot of times while she eats, she'll put her claw in the water dish and kind of splash it around while she's eating because the food dish is right next to it. But she'll drink a little bit, but not really a whole lot. When they're babies, one of their feedings of the day is just water, because an issue that you got to look out for when they're really young is bloat. You know, he's past that point now, but that's something that we're on high alert for with Chloe, especially because we've only had her for 2 weeks now. So that's always something that we've got to look for. But once they get older, they start to get most of the water requirements that they need from the veggies that they're eating, from the veggies and the leaves. So they eat about 75% leaf material. They get, you know, what he got this morning is his feeding basically for all day until this afternoon. This afternoon is basically all leafy greens that he eats. And that just goes into his dish and his enclosure, and he eats it whenever he wants throughout the night. And they do get a lot more active at nighttime, and so Zoe, in her enclosure, she's got a little hammock over in the corner, and she'll curl herself up into a tiny little ball over in that hammock and be completely content there all day long. And then at night, if I come down here after all the lights are off and it's dark outside, and I go in there, she is climbing laps in her enclosure. They get a lot more active at nighttime. They'll move around a lot more. They have a lot more energy reserves in captivity because they're eating things like brown rice and sweet potato that they would not have access to in the rainforest. And a misconception about sloths is that they can just eat any of the leaves of the trees that they're staying in, and that's not the case. They stay in the sarcopia trees, and that specific type of tree will build up a toxin in their leaves over time. So they can really only eat the very fresh, baby, tiny little leaves that are just starting to grow out on the very end of the branches or at the very tippy tops of the trees. And that's where the sloths feel most safe, is at the very tops. So that's where they're at most of the time, which up at the very tops of the trees, there's not as much foliage, all those leaves around them. That's what makes it a lot easier for the harpy eagles to spot them.
You gonna stick your tongue out?
He always sticks it out real far right before he yawns, and he'll open his mouth up real wide. Forgot to ask you to take your phone out before you sat down if you wanted me to take any pictures or anything while you're holding.
Yeah, it's in this butt cheek on the
Oh.
left side.
Yeah. Might be able to kind of shimmy around to be able to get it.
I see. Yeah, I got work calling me because I got a company truck getting delivered tomorrow.
Oh,
They won't leave me alone.
let's see. Is there
I got you. Oh,
some of the phones have a little camera button that you can slide over. Get a little close up of his face too. You got food all over your little face there, buddy. Get one back here with Flash in the picture too. We've got 2 sloths in the picture. Let's set this right here. What do you think, bud? You finished with your breakfast? Is that all you wanted?
but they're not confused at all, even though they look confused.
No. No, and a lot of times he'll look backwards, especially if I'm moving around back there, if I'm standing up, because he hears my
The
voice.
voice.
Yeah, and that's what's more, that's what he recognizes. When they're looking upside down like that, that's actually their way of seeing right side up. So everything inside of a sloth is geared to be an upside down animal. Everything from their eyesight, the way that their digestive tract is set up, the locking mechanisms that are in their claws that allow them to hang upside down, their circulatory system, and the connective tissue that's holding everything in the right place. So everything functions a lot better when they're upside down. but it can function essentially at any other position that they put themselves into as well. So their circulatory system is extremely adaptable. Not only do they just stay upside down like that, but they can extend all the way down to where they're hanging by just their two back feet. They can come all the way down to the base of the tree and be in a position like that to go to the bathroom. And then they can be crawling on the ground too to find another tree or somewhere if they're trying to find a mate or something like that. And you know, if we did that, if we put our bodies into totally different positions all the time, our circulatory system would not be very happy. If I try to do a handstand, all the blood's going to rush to my head. If I raise my hand up and keep it here for several minutes, yeah, my hand's going to fall asleep. But a sloth can turn themselves completely upside down, like how Flash was a minute ago, and continue to eat. So not only is a handstand going to be pretty difficult for me to do, but then trying to eat while I'm completely upside down is not going to work out for me. It does for them though, because they only have a one-way valve that allows food to go into their system and not back out the way that it came. So it's a one-way track, and it takes about 30 days from start to finish to digest everything in it. So they have to be really picky about what they eat and how much they eat, because if they eat something that doesn't set right with them, they're stuck with that for another 30 days until it comes out the other end.
So what kind of fruits do they eat? I know you said something about bananas.
Yeah, his favorite is bananas. They can also have papayas. They can have apples, occasional grapes and things like that. And again, that's not something that they're going to be widely exposed to in the rainforest. So we have to monitor how much we have grapes and things like that. And again, that's not something that they're going to be widely exposed to in the rainforest. So we have to monitor how much we actually trip. We have to consider ourselves poopologists because we inspect it every single time that they go to the bathroom to make sure that it's the right amount, the right consistency, and everything in between. And if he has a little bit of a wonky bathroom habit today, we've got to assess why is it just a little, even if it's just, you know, typically, have you ever seen goat or sheep poop of a wonky bathroom habit today? We've got to assess why is it just a little, even if it's just, you know, typically, have you ever seen goat or sheep poop just kind of balls up into
I used to
little nuggets like that? It's kind of like that, but it's all clumped together. And so that you want one solid clump of several little tiny balls. But if it starts to be like you've got several balls that are not, you know, not all clumped together, it's more dry, or if it's, you know, a little bit more runny and it's like all clumped together and you can't even really distinguish the little balls, you've got to go all the way back in all of our record system to figure out what could be causing that, because the cause for that did not happen yesterday or even last week. It's been 30 days ago, because that's how slow their system.
So do you buy it at grocery stores or you get it from the Amish?
At grocery stores, yeah.
Really?
We just have to wash
Really
everything.
clean it good
Yeah.
and stuff. Okay.
Yeah, even if it says pre-washed, we still run
'Cause
everything.
I know they use a
through
lot of
the
pesticides and different things like that, and it comes from other countries and
Yeah.
things like that. So
Yeah. It hasn't been an issue for us yet. We've been doing pretty well with them. We wash everything very liberally.
because we're big on the Amish stuff, that's where we buy all, because our garden, that's where we buy all of our vegetables for our garden.
Everything tastes so much better too. when
Yeah,
it's from
that's
them.
where we go get stuff,
Yeah.
and like our meat, we don't even buy meat from a grocery store. I have a friend that raises hogs, and I buy a hog from him. And I got a friend that has cattle, and we
Yeah.
buy cattle from him.
That's the most sustainable way
And
to
then I got a
live.
guy who raises chickens for me. I
Yeah.
get 40 chickens a year.
Oh wow.
And he butchers them. He's got a butcher shop at his house.
Yeah.
He does all of it for me,
Yeah.
packages it and everything.
Yeah. That's
Because
really good.
I mean, you set meat from a farmer against hamburger from a grocery store. Huge difference
Oh yeah.
in the coloring and what's
Oh,
in it
yeah.
and everything.
Yeah.
So
Marbling and everything.
it costs more, but I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're precious. Yes, you.
Yeah, she's sleeping.
Well, my granddaughter's gonna have a fit.
Yeah, picture-proof evidence to be able to show her too. This little guy's just fun. And he gets the bat comment quite often because he's a lot darker. His little face does just kind of look like a little fruit bat. And it's a common question that people will ask: are they related to bats in any way? And a lot of people will also ask me what sloths evolved from, or how they have come to yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I tell them every time. Not everybody loves that answer, but it is what it is. That's what we teach here. We do have a creation standpoint. We got a 2-star review yesterday because we have a creation standpoint, and we said we'll take it. We'll take the 2-star review for that, or a young. I think they worded it as a young Earth standpoint. Because that's always something that we tie into all of our educational talks and everything. Because it does not make any sense for me and the way that I was raised and all of the research and everything that I've done for an animal to be so intricately designed and created to just come from nothing or come from something completely different than it is now, and for us to have absolutely no fossilized record of that. And the same thing goes for people. It's just a lot easier for me to explain the intricacies and the specific things about an animal than it is for me to explain to somebody how we're able to just do this or how we're able to take a breath in and out. All of those things take, it's so all the way down to the cellular level to see how things work inside of the human body, to just from us to just come from absolutely nothing, or to come from dirt. I mean, we did come from dirt, but God made us that way.
Well, he did put two of every on the ark.
Yeah.
You ever been to that ark?
Yeah. I've been through the ark. I haven't been to the creation side of it.
Yeah. We went a couple years ago. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Wet nose, I guess that means you're healthy.
Yeah, his is a little bit more dry right now than from what it usually is. They do have high humidity requirements. He just hasn't been misted yet. His enclosure hasn't been misted yet either because the humidity is pretty high right now. But once a day we do mist their enclosures, usually in the evening time.
Now they all stay in different, like he stays over here.
Yeah, and then Zoe is in there, and Dash actually stays up at the main house right now. So until, we've got Chloe. Chloe is eventually going to be taking his place because I'll show you a little peek of her here in just a second when we finish up with Dash, but she's 1.5 pounds. And up until this point, she's been with her mother at the breeding facility that she came from. And so now she's trying to navigate, her own self and figure out how to just be an individual sloth without her mother. And that's a slow process, and she's got to have, around the clock somebody watching her and making sure that she doesn't put herself into any sticky situations in her enclosure. So in the daytime, she's in a little basket, but at night she'll eventually start to go into the enclosure that he's in right now. So he's eventually going to come down here and be in a smaller enclosure that we're going to wheel into. It's basically like a really big bird cage that has a lot of branches all throughout it, which he doesn't even climb that much. He honestly, all throughout the day, stays in that basket, even when we set him into the enclosure. And at night he'll climb a little bit more, but usually he'll find a little spot up at the very top and he'll just kind of hang there or set his little booty down into a little crook. But he's eventually going to be starting to slowly be acclimated to being with Zoe. And then our next big project is we want to both build a sloth house and a monkey house. I'm not sure which one is going to come first. Hopefully the sloth house, because now we have 4 sloths and 2 sloth enclosures. But eventually our plan is if it's time to acclimate them two together, without having the barrier, we're going to eventually put Flash into the 10-foot enclosure, and Zoe and Dash will go into the 20-foot enclosure so that they have
What do
more
you do
barrier.
during the wintertime with all these animals?
Well, some of the animals, like camels, the big misconception with camels is they can't stand cold weather. They can stand, especially the Bactrian camels, they can stand like negative 40 degrees weather. They're completely fine. Some of the other animals, like the sloths, of course, they're always inside. We just don't let them go in their outdoor enclosures once it gets cold. But the foxes and the porcupine will be fine. I'm sure there's a few other different ones. They have indoor enclosures. Yeah, the quadamundis and things, they'll go outside during the day, but when it gets colder, they'll just stay inside.
What about the turtle?
The tortoises?
Yeah.
They stay outside.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, they'll start to burrow. They'll burrow and they'll have little underground tunnels that we've got to fill in once it starts to get warm. You can see those tiny little pinpoint pupils when he slowly starts to open up his eyes. They stay like that in the daytime, but at night they'll actually dilate quite a bit, and they'll allow for a lot more light to come in. And it's pretty freaky, actually, to see how dilated their eyes can get. And I should have taken a picture the other night when I was down here to come and check on Zoe, because she, usually in the daytime I'm used to just seeing her be a little loaf over in the corner unless I go into her enclosure that she starts climbing to me. But as I walk by, she's always just over in the corner. But at nighttime when I come down, she's climbing. She's in places that I don't ever see her in the daytime. And she'll look over at you, and basically more of her eyes black than it is brown, because of how big they dilate. And then she's wide-eyed staring at me anyway because she's not used to people coming down in the middle of the night to check on her.
Now they nurse?
Yeah, they do, but for a very short amount of time. So that the sloths, they only nurse for roughly 2 to 5 weeks. So it depends